Okay, just a very brief one, just to highlight this really. I think it's got to be done. It's just this man's cowardice, this man's deceit, this man's dishonesty. These are pathological characteristics I believe he has. He is a fucking coward. There's no question of that. And he is a liar. Now, I have to state, I don't use these terms lightly because I think these terms are about as low as you can get, without getting into Donald Trump territory. This is just to be a coward and a liar like this, because he's never expressed an opinion on the war, you see. And, all the rest of it. It's on the record at this point. But I just wanted to highlight this exchange. Now, this is on March the 4th, 2025. This is approximately about 3 weeks before he did his theatrical high guard. Again, because he got worried for himself. All his decision making, he's driven by fear, Morgoth. It's his abiding kind of characteristic, I believe. He's just a scared little man, and he won't venture forth an opinion. And he's paranoid. It must be fucking miserable existence. He really must be a miserable fuck, because he must go for a walk with all this stuff rattling around his head. Why don't you just speak the fucking truth? Why don't you just hold your word? Why don't you just have an opinion? You're not going to get locked up for your views unless they really stray into own goalie kind of territory here. Okay, very, very brief little interjection here. I just want to make this point because it is absolutely valid, and it's a very, very key point, is that with all of Morgoth's cowardice, with his obsession with his high guard, this will never extend to actually doing anything that would genuinely anger Russian media observation units. And this is what I've said all along. If there was no money changing hands, and remember, this guy way back in April 2022 was saying he's worried about being called a traitor pertaining to his views on Russia, and he's certainly keeping a low profile. Well, maintaining that low profile, at no point would he just make a retweet of some terrible war crime in Ukraine, or mention the Bucha massacre, or mention Azovstal, or mention anything going on in Mariupol, or anything bad that Russia has done. He could just retweet it and say, this is fucking awful, dead kids. Whatever you think of the war, God, what a terrible situation. Look at this is awful. Look, they fucking bombed a funeral. Literally. Drone struck a funeral of a guy who'd been killed by a fucking drone strike. Women and kids. You could just literally be here all day talking about this shit. But he's ignored it all. So why wouldn't he do that? Because he is obsessed with the high guard. Then okay, it's just a quick retweet. You don't even need to give a shit. But bang, it's on the record. No, I've always been neutral. Look at this. I've been talking about this here. Would be the kind of end of the story. But of course, he didn't want to anger any of the Russian slush funds. And this is what tells me categorically that the man has been funded, which is another reason why he's worried. If there was no money changing hands, these people would do it. None of them talk about the terrible situation, the terrible winter in Ukraine. Got fucking it must be about minus 14 today, and this is around about 10 o'clock a.m. Apparently it's going to get down to minus 28 on Wednesday. This is the same guy that wrote this fucking mewing essay because the electricity bills have gone up 15% about people are going to suffer a slow coughing death. Total silence when it happens in Ukraine. And yet he's obsessed with the high guard. So, I just thought I'd edit that in because it's a very key point. That points you. I think it's as good as saying there's a fucking smoking gun, in all honesty, if we're talking about Russian funding. But, it's not literal proof, but to me, it's very compelling. Stuff rattling around his head. Why don't you just speak the fucking truth? Why don't you just hold your word? Why don't you just have an opinion? You're not going to get locked up for your views unless, they really stray into, own goalie kind of territory here. Which, you don't need to do, but you're entitled to be a zigger if that's what you want to be. This guy isn't, though. He's just a weasel. And he will gaslight you and try and memory hole all the stuff he's done. Again, this is why I make these videos. People could say, I'm obsessed about this guy. Yes and no. I'm obsessed with highlighting what a fucking weasel and a coward and a liar he is, yeah, because if I don't do it, I don't think anyone else will to the same extent. And he will get away with it. He'll probably get away with it anyway, because as I said before, no one really watches these. But they will be still on the internet somewhere. And it means anyone with eyes to see can come and see what a fucking weasel this man is. I mean, look at this little tete-a-tete here. He's speaking with a fucking retarded Zigger. I mean, it's quite comical, actually, if you read it. We'll go through it. Would you say the EU is currently hostile to Russia? If Russia wanted to restore good and peaceful relationship with its neighbours, would the neighbours accept it and engage in dialogue? Like, this guy's just a fucking idiot. He's clearly, he's American, isn't he? He doesn't have much of a grasp of world politics, quite clearly, or world history. Like, when has Russia ever had good and peaceful relationships with its neighbours? Like, this is just so detached from reality. It's just comical. This is crazy. And listen to Morgoth. Listen to this exchange. That depends on the current situation in Ukraine. And this guy's been such a fucking weasel because he just talks out the side of his mouth and he doesn't give anyone a fucking straight answer ever. But in this, he gets drawn into it because he agrees with Jimmy here. This is the whole thing, and he's trying to sort of tell him this in a non-overt fashion. So anyway, we'll just go through your chicken egging it. The current situation in Ukraine is also a consequence of some actions done by EU, NATO, Ukraine. Again, this guy's such a prick. So there's never any license or any agency given to Russia. Russia is always the victim in these guys' frames. Oh, they've had to do it. You've pushed them into it. Oh, why did you do this? Like the fucking perestroika deception, they've been pursuing this for decades. This is just like, no, they're always the fucking victim because you're always so low IQ and objectionable that you have to take the inverse NPC fucking information laundered bullshit and swallow it because you want to have the hot take that makes you feel special because you're insecure deeply in yourself ultimately, or you don't have the IQ to actually just understand the situation it is, and you don't have the humility to go and ask some people who live maybe around the periphery of the former Soviet Union who do know about Russia and know that they've never had good and peaceful relationships with their neighbours. But no, some fucking yank, he knows it all, and Morgoth replies, I'm aware of the law. Fucking hell. So Jimmy comes back. To simplify, NATO is anti-Russian alliance. Russia says it feels existentially threatened by NATO. Oh. Finland, its neutral neighbour, says it feels threatened by Russia because it's attacked by its non-neutral neighbour. Finland says it feels threatened by Russia because it attacked its non-neutral. Well, like Ukraine in his frame, right, is a non-neutral neighbour. No, Ukraine was invaded in 2014. You fucking spastics. So now Ukraine's now somehow just like a non-neutral neighbour. No, Ukraine was invaded. And they took fucking Crimea. And portions of like southeastern Ukraine. It's just framing it now, you're non-neutral. It's just victim blaming because they've just swallowed all the information laundering, as I've suggested before, for those reasons. Inverse NPCs, woeful, objectionable personalities, all the rest of it, insecurity, stupidity. Isn't that dumb and instigating conflict? So again, all roads always lead in these people's interpretation, which again is just regurgitated information laundering, to Russia being a poor put upon victim. That's all it ever is. And you forcing Russia's hand. And Russia do it. They didn't want to do this, but now they're going to bloody well do it. And, take all the land and, get all the contracts and all the rest of it. And, they've done fucking deals with Kadyrov. Like, Kadyrov is so fucking excited, and all those people are so excited because Putin's done deals with him that they can own the contracts for fucking Odessa and the port of Odessa and all the fucking money that comes through that. And all the rest of it, he can get his fucking hands on it. This is all fucking cut and dry. This is what Ukrainians defending their fucking country against. But these people, no, you're a non-neutral neighbour. and Russia feels threatened. Oh my God. So what's Morgoth's response? You seem to think that I'm defending NATO and EU history and not just stating objectively. So again, he's totally straight batting it. But listen to this. This is the best. You seem to think I'm defending NATO and EU history and not stating objectively how Europeans feel right now. So in this, he's trying to say, look, Jimmy, I'm not speaking freely here. I'm just stating, like, you know, the current state of play. That's all I'm doing here. Because heaven forbid I express an opinion openly. Oh, look at this. My own views are different. Such a fucking lying little coward and a weasel. Just own an opinion, for fuck's sake. But of course it's all theatrical. Probably he was already planning his big theatrical burnt offerings roll-off when he adopted the mid-jawed fucking gambit. What did he do? He said, oh, for now, lads, there's Duran and John Mearsheimer, two, you know, groups that he's promoted multiple times. Mearsheimer, he was all over fucking Mearsheimer. He was telling people, people asked him on Twitter, not even that long ago, probably about a year before this, maybe less actually. He was telling them, they said to him, well, you tell me, mate, why has Russia invaded Ukraine? And he was saying, John Mearsheimer on YouTube can tell you why. So he was openly telling you, if you want to know the truth, Mearsheimer will go and tell. He's such a fucking rat and a weasel. Because, like, he's just, what he's done is he's done the theatrical mid-jawed punching up and completely ignoring all the ziggers in his orbit. And he is a fucking zigger, so, you know, it's clearly it's theatrical. But this is what Frody does. Frody will occasionally, like, retweet Dugin or, you know, I don't know, fucking Scott Ritter, while, like, indulging a reputation laundering for all the ziggers that they're going on Mark Collette's show, having Thomas 77 on, crawling up his arse, chatting about films, having, you know, previously Thomas 77 had called for Kiev to be nuked, deaths of 4 million white people, women, children, babies, fucking everyone incinerated in a burst of flame. Fine for Frody, but he'll do the theatrical kind of punch up. And he'll say, oh, Ritter's a propagandist, he's a paedophile or whatever else. All true. But, you know, you completely, you actually facilitate the Zigger propagandists, you see. Frody is objectively malign for Ukraine. What he does is damaging Ukraine because he facilitates these Ziggers and their propaganda, because he facilitates Morgoth's neutral bullshit. Now, Morgoth, his cowardice has really taken over in the last year. I mean, this was, about 3 weeks after this when he did this high guard. And since then, I mean, it's just with bells on. Like, what was he saying? Oh, I worry. Yeah, you do fucking worry, don't you? You do worry, don't you, Michael? Quite a lot, I suspect. You probably, with a degree of good reason. But, you know, it's because you painted a target on your back with all this stuff. Little lies have long legs, me old mate. So, you know, you're right to worry, ultimately. Because you look dodgy as fuck right now. It's the way I see it. You know, you look like someone who's well aware of, you know, what you've been doing, which is tricking people. Again, you couldn't just look someone in the metaphorical eye and tell them your opinion. No. You had to take this fucking left-hand path shit, where because the electricity bills have gone up 15%, millions are going to die, and the reason is because we're funding Ukraine, a corrupt gangster state, all the fucking rest of it. 6 months of that. Go and read that Morgoth's War, that report I made on his first year. Like, this guy is so fucking up to it. Like, he's all over it. The information laundering, it's all from this neutral position, which is why he's worried, because this is what he's done, and this shows, like, premeditation. Whereas if you just kind of come out and just say, look, I believe X, this is what I believe, what do you think about it? And then you just express your opinion from that point of view, which is what, like, an open Zigger does. Well, okay, fine. If that's your view, you're entitled to hold it, ultimately. But this, like, fucking get in your head and plant seeds and elicit response, they're fucking, what a snake. What an absolute snake. So you can see here, like, you know, it's got my own views. And what does he say here? My own view is that Germany should be bending over backwards to foster good relations with Russia. And I mean, he said this on a fucking stream, and I really wish I'd downloaded it because I can't locate it now. I think it was a countercultural stream, and I think it got pulled. I think they get paywalled after a certain time or something. But he said, and I remember it directly, he said, what was it? Germany should have just said to Russia, you do what you want to do. I remember it specifically. It was that you do what you want to do, or literally, I say literally, but it was, if it's not literally that, it's very, very close to that. You do whatever it is you want to do. We're not getting involved. Do you know how disgusting this is? Because that's not, he said they should stay neutral. That's not staying neutral. That's assisting white genocide in Ukraine. And this is to the nation that raped 3 million, or 2 to 3 million. Conservative estimates say 2. And actually there's kids fucking, it's not just women that the Red Army just fucking brutalized. And that came from orders. That was an explicit Soviet order, which they carried out, gleefully, I should imagine, because they're fucking Russian. But, it was an absolute demoralization in a hard sense operation against the German people. And this is the nation that, in his fucking read, should be bending over backwards to foster good relations with the nation that raped 2 to 3 million of its women. And not only that, is carrying out massacres in Ukraine, daily war crimes in Ukraine, none of which he'll touch. This is March the 4th, 2025, he said that. So Germany should be assisting in Russia's invasion of Ukraine, basically. This guy is such a rat and a coward and a liar. But look, none of this matters. As I said before, the dissident right punters, they're all demoralised. Well, they're just fucking objectionable losers. I looked at one of his streams he was on the other day. I couldn't be bothered to fucking listen to it. Just can't listen to him droning on. So I just looked through the comments and the transcripts, and they're all I don't know. It's so weird. I've said this before. If the guy was from fucking, I don't know, Guildford, he wouldn't have any fucking views. He's just got the fucking Geordie patter. And these people, I swear, I just think they're all little, briefcase wankers, the dissident right. They're all getting excited. I think he's talking about doing something in his potting shed. And they're all like, oh, Morgoth. Oh, do a podcast from your potting shed, Morgoth. That would be wonderful. It's the noble savage fantasy these people have. It's so fucking weird. It's just I don't know if they don't judge his character. Because to me, if you're a fucking coward and a liar, as I said before, there's not really much worse. They don't care about any of that. He's the dark poet of the North. He's the noble savage, all this kind of stuff. It's truly fucking tragic. It really is. Dissident right are the biggest bunch of tragic twats you could fucking hope to find. Well, I suppose it's pretty tragic of me to bother focusing on them at this point. Probably got quite a lot of time on my hands, to be honest. And as I say, this guy's, it needs to be highlighted what he's done. Absolutely. I mean, there's people, why do you talk about all this stuff? You should be doing stuff about the music industry. Yeah, well, maybe, because it's objectively more interesting. I understand that. But you see, what that is countercultural subversion to obtain a sort of social political goal. And that is exactly what's happened with the dissident right. But it's unfurling, now, kind of in real time. And it's with figures that I'm kind of aware of, have been aware of for a very long time. So, me going off and focusing on fucking crass, it's an interesting little, historical bit of, work, I suppose. But it's not really, I don't really care, ultimately, to be blunt. Even though it might be interesting, I just don't really care. Whereas these people, I have righteous fury on my side. And, seeing them trying to wriggle off and trying to fucking memory hole it all, like this guy. He said with Frody, literally 2 minutes into their conversation, I worry, I don't know much about Ukraine, and that's why I didn't say much about it. You fucking said more than enough, Michael, about Ukraine, as you and I fucking know. And anyone fucking knows he's just not some just briefcase wanker in the distant right. Well, go on, Morgoth, you absolute lad. You know, one of those pricks. They're the kind of people that flutter around you like fucking, I don't know. They're very impressed with you. Well, fine. Hats off. You've got them eating out of the palm of your hand. I think it's a fucking shithouse way to earn a living myself. But, you know, fine. You know, it's your little whiskey grift. And or your, you know, millions of pensioners will freeze to death like the fabricated conversation I've just presented you if we continue funding Russia's enemies, but I've never expressed an opinion. What a fucking lying scumbag you are, mate. So I'll just, again, just stick these out, bang them out. It just takes me half an hour. That's it. People go, oh, you're wasting your time. Well, fucking, well, I don't know. What else do you want me to do? Sit around fucking, I don't know, playing video games? I don't do that. But, you know, whatever. Reap what you sow, don't you, I suppose? Anyway, there you go. Morgoth Review, Coward and a Liar, part 532.